So it's been a little bit since I've uploaded a video. I figured because it's the All-Star break, no games going on, I thought I would take a little break for myself for the weekend and spend some time with my family. Hopefully that doesn't impact the YouTube algorithm, but in any event, I wanted to do a recap of the All-Star weekend and some of the latest Bulls news, and I do have to be honest and upfront, I am not a big fan of All-Star weekend. I generally tune into the festivities pretty passively, but of course, I did watch pretty closely when our guys were a part of the activities to see how they did in representing the Bulls at All-Star Weekend. So that's what I'll be talking about in this video. So what's going on, everyone? You were listening to Bulls Central here. Hope you're all doing well. So the Bulls had 3 players representing the franchise during All-Star Weekend, although it really should have been 4, as Javonte Green should have been in the dunk contest, but I'll get into that in a little bit. You had Dosunmu in the Rising Stars game on Team Peyton. Then you had Zach Lavine in the 3-point contest as well as the All-Star game. And of course, DeMar DeRozan in the All-Star game as well. Now, I have to say, one of the changes I did like seeing was the new format to the Rising Stars game, like the switch to having 4 teams competing towards a target score in a tournament-style fashion was actually entertaining and competitive rather than the old format of the US versus World, in which you just had guys playing a free-for-all on offense with no defense being played whatsoever, similar to the All-Star game. I also never liked the whole US versus World format because it prevented guys like Patrick Williams and Kobe White, who should have been in the Rising Stars Challenge the last 2 years if they had just taken the top rookies and sophomores regardless of their home country. So even though Io's team, Team Peyton, didn't actually advance to the final round, it was still great to see him out there and getting some runs, scoring, playing good defense, and just generally getting some exposure on a national scale, you know, for a guy who was a second-round pick and now being recognized as one of the top rookies in the league. Now, all that being said, though, and on a not so positive note, after the game we did hear from Io that he evidently jammed his finger going up for a block on a play, which doesn't sound like there was any damage done to the finger, or at least we haven't heard any status update on whether this is a potential injury to where he'll be missing some time. Sounds like that won't be the case, but when I saw this news, which I believe it was first reported by Rob Schaefer of NBC Sports Chicago, but when I saw it, I was just like, come on now, you've got to be kidding me. Like, are the Bulls ever going to catch a break on the injury front? Like, you're really going to have your starting point guard, or now starting point guard with Lonzo Ball being out due to injury already. He gets injured in a meaningless exhibition game. You can't even make this stuff up at this point. Either way, though, it sounds like Io is going to be okay, and hopefully he doesn't re-aggravate that finger in the coming days. It's a good thing the Bulls are off until Thursday. Speaking of injuries, though, on a related front, so as you guys know, Zach Lavine missed the last few games leading up to the All-Star break as he was getting his knee re-evaluated by a specialist, which I shared in a prior video. That visit went well, and the specialist confirmed that there was no structural damage. He did drain some swelling from his knee, and that Zach could resume basketball activities in 48 hours. And of course, you saw Lavine participate in All-Star Weekend and the 3-point shootout, as well as the All-Star game. But prior to that, Bulls insiders did have a chance to sit down with Zach and talk about the lingering knee pain that he's been having, and he mentioned that he needed to take it upon himself to make sure he was okay for the second half of the season. He then added that the treatment for which he was given with some cortisone shots will get him through the end of the season, and then in the offseason he'll be able to take care of it to get back to 100%. That's what Zach Lavine mentioned, which obviously it's great to hear that Zach is going to be okay and that he'll be able to get back into action to close out the season. However, at the same time, this essentially means that Zach isn't going to be 100% for the rest of this season, which isn't ideal. And hopefully this isn't an instance where he's just going to play through a knee injury that could cause further damage, because he knows how important this season is for him and for the Bulls as a franchise. But like, the last thing you want is for Zach to focus on closing out a season in a contract year when he's not fully healthy and have it impact his long-term health as a result. Like, as much as we praise DeMar DeRozan and the incredible season that he's been having and the impact that he has on the Bulls and their success, Zach Lavine is still the future of this franchise, being only 26 years old. And even still, without Zach Lavine, this Bulls team is not going to be making a deep playoff run, even with DeMar DeRozan. So you want to ensure you're being careful in approaching his health. That being said, I'm not a doctor, and if 2 qualified sports medicine doctors have said that Zach is okay to play, then you have to rely on their evaluation of him. Not sure what it means for Zach, you know, when he says that, you know, he'll be able to get to 100% this offseason, whether that means he's going to actually need to have surgery to fix the knee problems that he's been having, and he's been putting off the surgery because, again, it's manageable to play on now, and he doesn't want to have to miss the season as a result. But we'll learn more on that, as I'm sure, as the offseason approaches. But anyway, Zach did participate in the All-Star festivities, and despite being in his third three-point shootout and a chance to become the first player in NBA history to win both the three-point shootout and the slam dunk contest. Zach Lavine fell short yet again, not even making it out of the first round, and only finished his round with 14 points and didn't even complete his final rack, which was the Moneyball rack. I actually thought this was going to be Zach's year to win it, but just shows how much I know. It was good to see Karl-Anthony Towns win it, though. I've always liked Cat, and Zach was happy to see him win it as well. Guys, I have to admit, I did not watch the slam dunk contest at all, and I actually haven't watched a slam dunk contest since the dunk contest following that epic battle between Zach Lavine and Aaron Gordon, because when I watched that dunk contest the year after that one took place, which I believe was the 27 dunk contest, and just how underwhelming it was compared to the prior year between Lavine and Gordon, I just knew that the dunk contest was never going to live up to the expectations of that one. And based on all the comments and everything I saw on NBA Twitter, as well as watching some of the highlights from it, it sounds like I didn't really miss a lot. I saw a lot of people commenting that this was the worst slam dunk contest of all time. I mean, the problem with the slam dunk contest is that there's always such high expectations of what it will be with the hype surrounding it. It's always the final event of All-Star Saturday night. And when you have had so many dunk contests over the years, like they've literally been doing the dunk contest since the 70s, it's going to start getting redundant. There are only so many trick dunks that you can do and acrobatic moves when throwing it down. And that was really topped by Zach Lavine and Aaron Gordon. Like, I don't know what the league is going to do after having such a disappointing dunk contest this year. I believe years ago, I think I was a teenager, they actually removed the dunk contest from All-Star Saturday Night because it was getting so boring for fans, and they added two ball to the lineup of activities. I don't know what happened with that specific event. Then they actually eventually brought it back in a big way with new tricks and props to the contest. And they've had some great ones since then, but more recently, it's just really been disappointing. So I'm glad I didn't watch it. Let me know, for those who did watch it, how you guys felt about the dunk contest overall. Let me know in the comments. And hey, I think the league really missed an opportunity by not including a guy like Javonte Green in the slam dunk contest, because the dude is an extremely talented dunker with his hops and athleticism. Of course, I'm biased, but still. Then, of course, we just wrapped up the All-Star game, in which we saw both DeMar DeRozan and Zach Lavine in the game playing on opposite teams. And again, same thing, I'll be real with you guys, didn't pay super close attention to this game past the first quarter. I have a really hard time getting into the All-Star games. I always watch the beginning to see how the stars show out. And yes, it's fun and you have insane highlights, but for me, the reason I love basketball is the competitive nature of it. And you just don't have that in an All-Star game. And I know a lot of Bulls haters will say, well, Zach and DeMar had quiet nights. DeMar finished with 10 points in 27 minutes. He did have 5 assists and 4 rebounds as well. Zach Lavine, 12 points, but dude only played 11 minutes, which initially I thought was kind of garbage, but then I kind of realized, well, it makes sense. He's still sort of recovering from an injury. I'd rather him not play that many minutes in a meaningless game, but whatever. I don't care how these guys performed in an exhibition All-Star game. I don't care if they don't win the All-Star MVP, because really an All-Star MVP is nothing but an accolade of who hogged the ball the most in a game with no defense. Like, let's be real, when I see an All-Star MVP next to a player's resume and their overall accomplishments and accolades, it's like, so what? I'd much rather see my guys win regular season MVPs and finals MVPs, the awards that actually mean something. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. What I did love, though, was the halftime show and the presentation of the NBA's 75 greatest players of all time. That was very well done. The video intro was great, and how about the surprise appearance from Michael Jordan? I know everyone thought that he was going to be one of those guys waving at the camera to the fake crowd. Like, there was no doubt in my mind that that was going to be the case, but he showed up and had by far and away the loudest ovation than any other player that was announced. And what was surprising to see was how much Michael Jordan actually looked like he cared to engage with other players in a genuine manner. Like, the biggest criticism of Jordan is that he's an ass, or isn't, the most sociable guy, doesn't care about people, all he cares about is winning, doesn't care about making friends. And I think that's why it was a surprise to see him the way he was tonight with other guys on the court. I don't know, maybe he's sort of had a different view on life now ever since Kobe Bryant died. I'm obviously speculating, and who knows, maybe MJ was just in a good mood tonight. But anyway, guys, I wanted to share my thoughts on the All-Star weekend. Now that it has concluded, the league is off for the next few days. In any event, though, I will still have my Bulls Weekly Preview video out tomorrow, even though the Bulls are off until Thursday. Until then, though, guys, as always, be sure to subscribe if you're a Bulls fan, as I do post daily Bulls content. Thanks again for tuning in, guys, and I will catch you in the next one.